Hey everyone, welcome to Mind Shift Monday, the first Mind Shift Monday of 2018. I'm Dan Tressmer, founder of Fruition, where we help leaders get out of their own way. So, the topic for today is that people are different. And you're probably telling yourself, yeah, I know that. People are different. But that's the problem is we pay it lip service. We don't really understand that people are different. Humans are interesting. You would never ever imagine a gorilla in the wild going, you know what? Man, I'm powerful. I'm good looking. I got this great rear end. But man, check out the legs on that giraffe. Man, I want me some of those. And that neck, please. I mean, come on. That's some good stuff. You would never expect animals in the wild, anyone other than humans on this planet, to really want to be something that they're not. That is the problem, is we as human beings tend to look and compare ourselves to something else, to someone else, instead of just being amazingly happy with who we are. Animals in the wild are just masters at being who they are. People are different. We really are. But yet we pay that lip service. You know, you might say, oh, yeah, this person has these traits or this person has these traits and all of that. But we don't really mean it. We pay it lip service because one size does not fit all. If we really believe that people are different, and that was okay for people to be different, then we wouldn't try to mold ourselves and mold other people into this perfect person myth, this mystical, magical, fantastical image of what a quote unquote perfect person is supposed to be. And that's what we do day in and day out is we compare, we judge. We judge ourselves against this myth of a perfect person. We compare ourselves to this myth of the perfect person. And we compare the people that we see in terms of celebrities and politicians and people in the news. We compare and judge against this perfect person myth that really doesn't exist. The very model of a modern major general just doesn't exist. And that's the number one problem with us trying to get things done is we get in our own way because we think that we ought to be a giraffe when we're really a gorilla. So, what we need to do is to shift our minds. Shift our minds right now and work on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Work on strengthening who you are naturally, who you were when you came into this world, instead of looking at yourself and going, I ought to be better at X, right? So let's take a look at how we would actually go about shifting. Well, the first thing to do is to recognize what is easy. I mean, there's some things that you do that just are easy, that they just flow naturally, that when you do them, that actually gives you energy. You know, they may be hard to do. They may be physically hard or mentally challenging or, some other, attribute. But when you look at them and when you really understand them, man, something just flows and it's really easy for me. The other way to look at it, if that's too difficult, is what is difficult? What is it that you feel when you try it, it just continually blocked, or you're continually having to, push an elephant up a hill? What are those things that just drain your energy? When you do them, it's like, my gosh, it's like, you've left, an application on your cell phone running and it's just quickly draining your battery. There are things that we're doing day in and day out that do that. So let's identify what those are, right? So here's some examples. Know and be yourself. Those things that are just uniquely yours, that When you came into this world, man, they were yours and no one else's. One of my clients is somebody I'm going to call Mr. Charisma. Man, he could talk you into anything. What gives him energy is going out and networking and talking, and he's really interested in other people's lives. And one of his other strengths is he's a visionary. He can see how things are connected and how things can all come together and really look into the future. But yet, one of the things that keeps the blindfold on for him is he thinks that he's supposed to be really good at other things, like being organized, like sitting in front of his computer running spreadsheets, actually putting people and keeping people on schedules. In those areas, he absolutely sucks. Yet he beats himself up. He compares himself to this fantastical image of the perfect person and doesn't give himself props for what he is just amazing at. Because there's so many people who are organized, who are great with spreadsheets, that when they are in front of a person, can't even remember their own name. They would give their right arm to be able to network and really be able to persuade someone to do what they want them to do, which is right in Mr. Charisma's wheelhouse. Another one of my clients is a guy that I'm calling Mr. Introvert. We were doing some Myers-Briggs training, and one of the exercises I have people do is I split them up between extroverts and introverts, and they create questions that they want the opposite type to answer for them. And one of his questions was, how can I jump in and be an extrovert in a conversation the way you do? And the other team gave him some suggestions, but I posed the question to him. I asked him, why is it that you want to be something that you're not? And I turned to some of the people on the extrovert side that were part of his team, and I said, Mr. Introvert probably doesn't say a whole lot in meetings or in discussions, but when he does, it's like the voice of an old sage. Like there's just something mystical and magical and so on point about what he says when he finally does say something. And they said, yeah, that's exactly what he does. His strengths, one of his strengths is not engaging in the conversation like an extrovert would. He goes inside and really thinks things through and processes things inside himself so that he has something that's fully formed. And when it's fully formed, he then presents it to the group. What an amazing gift, right? And next person is Miss Energy in Motion. Man, she is great at getting stuff done. She's like the Energizer Bunny that just, man, she gets herself on a task. She puts some stuff in front of her and there's going to be no stopping her. But one of the things that she beats herself up for is not being able to really go deep into someone and really see the person in front of her and be able to slow down and really address the person in front of her. She's not really great at those interrelationships, right? So with her, one of the things that'll liberate her is to work on her strengths. Man, she's great at getting stuff done. And she can hire a person to do the presentations. She can hire someone to do the HR, functionality in her organization. We get caught up in this thing of where we have to be all things, and we don't. And that, if you conquer that, everything else opens up for you. So the results, so the first thing you do is you start gaining traction. When you really start focusing and working on your strengths instead of your weaknesses, you start to gain traction. And man, that just opens up everything because that creates momentum. Like a snowball rolling downhill, it starts slowly in the beginning, but then it starts picking up speed and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. and it actually generates more energy. Instead of that, application that's draining your cell phone of its battery, it actually adds to and charges your batteries. And life just simply begins to flow. It's no longer these quote unquote New Year's resolutions that, I've got a list of my 10 and man, they seem to be like this mountain I have to climb or this thing I need to focus on all the time. Life just begins to flow and it becomes fun. It becomes easy. It becomes joyful. Life opens up when you accept who you are and work on your strengths instead of your weaknesses. Thank you very much for your attention today. And always remember, shift your mind and bring your dreams to fruition.